Dish and Swish here, having a closer look at the GB team, and what better place to do it than the London Olympic Basketball Arena. Okay, first of all we're going to have a look at the guard situation for GB. First up, a Deg boy, 6-foot point guard, 23 years old. We're obviously here on the last day of the London International Basketball Invitational, so what have his stats look like? 3.2 points per game, 2.5 assists a game, but the scary one is 9.1% from 3 points. He's really struggled this week to make any form of impact, struggled going up against some of the higher profile point guards such as Tony Parker, and size has been an issue for him. Not a great week for him, but still a bright hope for the future. What are your thoughts, Sean?
My thoughts pretty similar to yours, Mark. I think he struggled this week. Like you said, size has become a massive issue, along with the physicality of play for some of the other point guards, especially Tony Parker from France. It looks like he's just not really been able to get to grips with maybe even the pace of the game as well, which surprised me because he's always struck me as quite a quick player.
Next up is Mike Lensley, 6'1", combo guard, 30 years old. His stats for this tournament so far, 10.8 points per game and 1.2 assists. If anything, Lensley's been a really pleasant surprise. The guards have been struggling offensively, but Lensley's bucked that trend and produced some good offense this week. He'll also bring some experience to the table as well, as a lot of our backcourt is looking very young and inexperienced at the moment. Again though, at only 6'1", he has struggled against some of the bigger guys who have tried to post him up. Sean, what do you think about Lensley?
I think Lensley's made a great impact, as you said, coming in 10 points a game, which is perfect. That's some good scoring from the guard position, which we do need. Again, physically, I don't know what it seems to be about the GB guards. They're struggling to bang about with some of the guards from the other teams, which, obviously a lot more physical style of play. And he comes to us from the Czech Republic, plays out in Prague, which is quite a physical league, so that does surprise me. But I think he's brought a lot of energy. Point scoring, which we desperately need, especially when we haven't had Deng in the game. So yeah, a nice surprise with Lensley.
Okay, next in the backcourt is Andrew Lawrence, 6'1" point guard, 22 years old, so one of the youngsters on the roster. Currently in this tournament, averaging 7.5 points a game and only 1 assist. Again, it's a difficult one for Lawrence. He's coming in with very little big match experience. He does remind me a little bit of Steph Curry, though, in the way that he plays and moves around the court. I think he's got a good opportunity for the future, and obviously brings a real scoring option from the point guard position, but he is struggling on the experience side, making some poor decisions as he's coming up the court. I think he will get into the Eurobasket squad, but it's going to be a real learning curve when he goes up against some of the best players in Europe. Sean, what do you think about Lawrence and his chances?
Well, Mark, I like him as a player. He seems good. I like your comparison to Steph Curry, the way he moves around the court. I think that's extremely accurate, as much as I hate to agree with you all the time. But he comes to us again out of NCAA, the College of Charleston. I expected, again, I know I keep harping on about it, but to be a bit more physical. And he is going to struggle with going up with some of the more prolific guards in Europe, especially smaller guards than him and bigger guards. He doesn't look like he wants to get in there and take it to the bucket like he should be. But if he can get going to the bucket and penetrating and passing out, then he could be pretty valuable for us.
Okay, the next guard to look at is Nate Rankin, 6 foot tall, combo guard, 37 years old. The veteran of the roster without a shadow of a doubt. Again, had an indifferent kind of invitational tournament here, 12 points per game and 1.5 assists per game. However, he's only played two games out of the 4 so far. Likely to again start today, so he'll have another opportunity. He is the king of the backcourt. From my opinion, if we could clone him, he'd start at the 1 and the 2. He has great decision-making capabilities. He's also got a lovely little way of creating some space for his mid-range jump shot. Sean, what do you think of Rankin?
With Ranking, I do like him as a player. I follow him with Mersey throughout the BBL season. To me, he's not a point guard. You said you start him at 1 and 2. I do disagree. For me, he's a catch and shoot. He's a 2 guard for me. He plays a lot like your likes of Allen Iverson or something like that. He's a lot more offensive-minded, I think. But if he gets going, hark back to the game a couple of years ago versus Spain. He got going in the 4th quarter, and we were in a big chance of winning that game. He is a game changer. But I think age could be creeping up on him a little bit, but he's still definitely a starter in my eyes, definitely.
The final one of the guards to look at, Devon Van Oostrum, 6'3", point guard, 18 years old. The youngest player in the roster, the youngest player here this week. a massive prospect for the future of British basketball. Watching him this week, he's starting to flourish into what people expected him to be. He's always looking for that open teammate, very unselfish in his play. He's averaged 2.8 points, but 1.8 assists, one of the highest assist rates in the GB team this week, and he's only been playing 9 minutes a game. I think he will struggle with his lack of experience at Eurobasket, but he needs to be there to get that experience, so when we get to London 2012, he's ready to hit the floor on a level playing field for the other point guards. Sean, what do you think of DVO?
Well, I tell you what, Mark, honestly, I love this kid. He's a massive, massive prospect for GB basketball. He's such a great player. He reminds me of, to look at an NBA player, he's that Chris Paul kind of point guard. You know, he likes to get in and dish, like you said, but his scoring ability is definitely there as well. I think, to me, he is the future of GB basketball.
Okay, so that's the guards looked at. Now let's look at the forwards. First up, let's have a look at Brian and Manning. Okay, 6'9", power forward, 23 years old. Again, a real hype behind him. A lot of people thinking that he could have made the NBA this year in the draft. Didn't quite make it. Obviously now signed a good contract over in Turkey, so a good level of competition. Not really performed what he should have done this week at the tournament in London. 1.7 points per game and 2.7 rebounds per game. Not what you'd expect from him. Again, a prospect for the future, but someone that has disappointed this week so far. He'll have a go again today, obviously, to see if he can get his berth on the Eurobasket GB squad, but I'm not too sure he'll make it. Sean, what are your feelings on NBA?
Well, I really like Matt Mark, have done for a long time. I remember watching him in videos when he's like 16 on the street ball websites and stuff like that, and when he went out to Washington. He is a big hope for British basketball, I think, and I think Chris Finch underuses him. I'll be totally honest with you. And I hope that he does get to go to Eurobasket because he is a talent. He's an extremely exciting player to watch, which I think is also massive for GB. We've got Pops on there, you know, when he's fit, who is very exciting. But other than that, we lack a real showman, but has some good fundamentals as well. So I think, you know, his performance has suffered this week. He hasn't done what he could do. But I think given the right chance and being in the programme full time, he could really shine for us.
Okay, next up in the forwards is Clark. 6'10", power forward, 23 years old. And at that age, probably almost seen as one of the veterans of the GB squad. So far this week, 8 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game. Great thing about Dan Clark, Mr. Consistency. You know exactly what you're going to get from him, and I'm sure Chris Finch is very happy with that. Knowing that consistency, he knows that he brings him on and he's going to get the job done at both ends of the court. He'll obviously have to produce some offense if we're to be successful at Eurobasket, but Dan Clark, an important part of the GB jigsaw. Sean, what are your feelings about Clark?
I think Dan is a great, you know, solid player. He's capable of pretty much everything. He's a big fella. You can put him down on the block, and he can step out and shoot out three for you. My only criticism of him maybe this week, you know, playing this tournament here, is that he hasn't gone inside. He hasn't put his back to the basket, which he is capable of doing. He's settled on the jump shot a lot, which for one of our big guys is not really what we need.
Okay, next up, the GB main man, Luol Deng. 6'9", small forward, 26 years old, and pretty much the highlight and the iconic basketball image in this country. This week, 15 points per game, 5 rebounds per game. He's the heart of the team. Without him, we've seen a little bit lost offensively. He'll be back on board now for this last game today, so hopefully we'll see a bit more progression from the team. But Deng needs to perform come Lithuania. He needs to step up both ends of the court and lead this team if we're to have any form of success. What's your thoughts on Lou?
To be honest, Mark, there's not a lot you can say about Luol Deng, really. He is, as you said, he's the heart and soul of the team. He's the best player to ever come from the UK shores. You know, it is as simple as that. Incredibly successful career over in the NBA. We only saw him play yesterday. So I think he was a little bit rusty. He even said in himself in an interview that we did with him after the game that he's feeling a bit rusty. He hasn't gone up and down for a long time. So obviously I think when Eurobasket comes, he's going to look to be on that 18 to 20 points a game. He gave us 15 yesterday, but he's going to be unstoppable, I think, for a lot of teams out there at Eurobasket.
Next up, Ryan Richards, 6'11", power forward, 20 years old. Again, one of these guys that's come along with an awful lot of hype behind him. Went into the NBA draft last year, managed to get himself picked up by San Antonio Spurs. So, can't be too shabby a player. A bright, bright future for him. So far this week, he hasn't lived up to that hype. He hasn't scored a single point and he's only averaging 2 rebounds a game. Tough week for him. After the week he had in Cobham, 2 games against lesser opposition where he did dominate, he struggled up against the bigger, more physical, more experienced players that he's met this week. A tough learning curve, but one that no doubt will put him in good stead for future campaigns with GB. Not too sure whether he'll make the Eurobasket squad. Sean, what are your feelings?
Mark, I think he will make the squad. I think he's going to be that one player that we'll take along with us for to gain him some experience. He clearly is qualified because, as you say, he went 49th pick in the second round of the NBA draft to the Spurs. And he's clearly got talent. A lot of the clips of him I've seen, he's an incredible player. He's left-handed, which makes him valuable as well, because it makes him a lot harder to guard. He has struggled, but he hasn't seen an awful lot of time. He's about 7 to 8 minutes a game. I think, again, Chris Finch has got to try and work this guy into the rotation a little bit more, because we've got to start looking at the future of Team GB, and he is definitely a big part of that. With such a big body, he's athletic as well, and a lot of talent there.
The final 4 we're going to look at is Andrew Sullivan, 6'8" forward, 31 years old, and the GB skipper. He's put up 6 points per game this week and 2.3 rebounds. He's your classic garbage man. He's that guy that's going to put himself out for the team and grab those rebounds that you didn't think anyone would go in for. Not had a great week and a little bit shaky, but he'll be back. He'll be leading the team in Lithuania, no doubt. An iconic face of British basketball. Sean, Sullivan for you.
Well, Mark, Sully's a massive part of the team. He's that pickup guy. He's always there to pick up the offensive rebounds, the defensive rebounds. He's a great finisher around the bucket, and he's a big figure for UK basketball. They use him in a lot of the Olympic advertisements, which is great. We love him here. Obviously, great player in the BBL as well, but he hasn't really shown what Andrew Sullivan is really capable of. He hasn't played an awful lot of games in this tournament, but he's definitely going to be in that Eurobasket squad, and he is going to produce, I think.
Okay, now it's time to have a look at the centres. First up, Archibald, 6'10" centre, 31 years old. He's the veteran big guy within the GB roster. He's averaged 5 points per game and 4 rebounds per game. So reasonably consistent production from him here at the tournament in London. However, he is going to be a backup to Freeland. Freeland will be the front man, and Archibald will be expected to pick up those additional minutes where the support's needed if Freeland gets into trouble. A veteran player with lots of experience and loads to bring to the GB roster for Eurobasket 2011. Sean, what are your thoughts on Archibald?
Archibald's a big force for us. I think especially he was actually drafted to go into the NBA in 2006. He's just really big, strong. We need to see that, though, basically. He's that guy that's going to stand in the middle. He's going to be in there just as a presence. We need him to be physical, which is exactly what he's good at. So I look for him to be in the Eurobasket squad and be that intimidator that we need in the middle.
Next up, Boateng, 6'10" centre, 25 years old. Had a good week so far. 7.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game. Only featured in 2 of the games. He's the young pretender to the crown. He's going to be a future big man for the years to come. Big banger inside. Absolutely loves to go after those rebounds and also can produce offensively as well. Boateng's going to be a key figure for the future of British basketball. What's your thoughts on Boateng, Sean?
I really like Boateng. He plays out there in the NBA Development League, and he's solid in that, and he's solid for us over here. He's had a good few games this week. Like you said, he really likes to go in there and bang around. And that, again, I've said about other players, that's exactly what we need. We need the physicality to be able to compete with some of these big European centres, but we also need our big guys as well to be able to step out and guard them on their jump shot, which I believe Boateng can. He's another one who's up there for the future of GB, which is why I am so excited about the future of GB basketball.
Okay, last but not least, Joel Freeland, 6'10" centre, 24 years old. For me, Freeland has been the man this week. 14.5 points, 8 rebounds a game. He's really turned up when GB needed it, including a big game against China with a double-double, 18 points, 13 rebounds. Likely to continue this through to Eurobasket. He is your old school centre. There's no fade away in from Freeland. He's the guy that will go to the basket over and over again. He makes the opposition submit, and that's exactly the kind of big guy GB are after. What's your thoughts on Joel?
I think Joel's been an absolute beast this week. He's been exactly what we needed from him. He's been aggressive going to the basket. He's been trying to dunk everything he can, which again is what we need. We need the highlights from him. But it's also the easiest way for him to score. He's such a big guy, and he's intimidating, which is absolutely brilliant. He just brings so much energy that he's absolutely invaluable to Team GB.
So that's the Dish and Swish look at Team GB and how they're going to shape up going into Eurobasket. Now, you want to follow all the action, you need to keep checking back to dishandswish.tv. We're going to be there from the opening game all the way through to the final, making sure you guys don't miss out on any of the action. Keep checking back to Dish and Swish TV for what you can expect from Team GB in Lithuania.